So today I have my cousin Mia with me. She's gonna be my model to do this blowout tutorial. We just did a scalp facial on her, so her scalp is nice and fresh, and we trimmed up her face grooming. So for a blowout, you wanna make sure that you have some nice, strong hold products. So the products that I'm gonna be using today are mostly Amika and then some other stuff for finishing. I have the Amika Plus Size Perfect Body Mousse, Amika Brooklyn Bombshell Blowout Spray, Amika the Wizard Silicone Free Detangling Spray. So I'm going to start with the primer and just spray it all in her hair first. And I'm going to take the Brooklyn Bombshell Blowout Spray, and I'm going to take the Amika mousse. And you can be pretty generous with the mousse. Don't be afraid of it, because when you are round brushing it, you're going to be working it through the hair. Now the key to getting lots of volume is taking a little bit of that mousse and putting it up at the scalp. Okay, so now that we have all those products in, we're gonna go in and do a rough blow dry first. So I like to start with my rough blow dry. I like to blow dry upwards at the root like this, just to get the roots all the way dry. You wanna make sure when you're doing a blowout that you're getting the roots all the way dry first before you even blow dry anything else. After the roots are 100% dry, you want to make sure that the mids and ends are about 80 to 90% dry, depending on the porosity of their hair, how fast it dries. For her, I like to do it to about 85, 90%, because her hair does dry pretty fast. So now the next step is to pre-section the hair before you go in and do the blowout. This might seem time consuming while you're doing it, but it's going to save you a lot of time while you are blow drying so that you don't have to keep turning your blow dryer off to take down another section. So I like to go in, and first I like to take the mohawk section. This is where you're going to get the most amount of volume. This is where you want the most amount of volume. So you want to take this as a mohawk section. And your sections don't have to be perfectly beautiful because it's just the blow dry. And then I like to take the sides in front of the ear like this. Then I just grab it, twist it like that, clip it out of the way. Same thing on the other side. For the back side, the size of the sections depends on how big your round brush is. So I have two different size round brushes right here, and I am going to be using both of them. What you want to look at is how big this is right here. That's going to determine how much hair you can take per section. For a brush this size, you can take a section about 2 inches, about that much. If you have a smaller round brush like this, that's also going to determine the size of the section you're going to take. So a much smaller section. So this is like a 1-inch section versus like a 2-inch section because of how big the round brush is. If you take too much of a section, it might not dry all the way through. I'll just take those sections depending on the size of the round brush that I'm using, get them pre-sectioned out. Then for this bottom section down here, I like to start by doing a really tiny section down here, just to make sure that all these little baby hairs are fully dry. Then what you're gonna do is your round brush is gonna be underneath the section, and you're gonna make sure that you're pulling it really tight. You have good tension in there. You also wanna make sure the blow dryer is facing down. If you're facing it up, you're gonna create frizz. When it's facing down with that section, you're gonna make it nice and smooth. And then just go like this. You really want to focus on those ends first. Once you get those, the mids mostly dry, you really want to take a second and focus on those ends. And then you can start going up on the section. And see how it's already forming a really nice curl. I go like this. I just kind of give it some love and attention like that. Then I take the back side of the blow dryer to cool it down. You twist out. Do that again. Twist out again. And then you have a nice little bouncy curl. Big round brush now. One way to tell if the section is all the way dry before you're done blow drying is if it feels hot. If it feels dry but it still feels cold, it's still wet, and you want to keep on blow drying until the section feels hot. I like to take the section upward like this too. That helps get some volume in there. Another thing you can do is take a hair roller. I like to do these to help those curls set into place. So I use the Velcro ones. You drag it all the way to the ends. And then just roll it up. Take a clip that doesn't crease and then clip that in. And then we're basically just gonna go through and do that for the whole back section. Okay, so as I get closer to the top of the head, I like to over direct all of this upwards as much as possible. Same with when we get to the mohawk section. This is all gonna be directed upwards. So now we're moving on to the side of the head. I like to split this into two sections, and I like to take it diagonally like this. So that way you have your two sections, turn your head a little bit, or that way you have your two sections like this. And then I just kind of twist this one and throw it up over the head. Since we're in the front and she has more face framing and then she also has a lot of baby hairs, I'm gonna go with my smaller round brush. For this section, you want to direct it forward. And then I'm going to take her face framing from up here and do that section as well. So you still want to make sure that no matter where you're over directing your section at, that your blow dryer is following down the hair strand. You don't want to be going against the hair strand. All right, now we're going to repeat that same step on the other side before we move on to the top. Okay, so now we're at the top mohawk section. She has curtain bangs, so we're going to leave those out for now. We're not going to do anything with these quite yet. That'll be the last step. We are going to start with this in the back. I like to take them like this. So literally just doing like a mohawk section, you can split it in 2 or 3, depending on their density and what size round brush you have, will determine the size of the sections that you are taking when you're doing a blowout. We're gonna take this section and we're gonna start by blow drying it straight up. Do it straight up, tuck those ends into the roller, and then bring it straight down from the top. For this section in the front that isn't her bangs, I like to also take it towards her face too. With bangs, if they're dry by the time you get to them, you just want to get them a little more wet. I'm going to start by going towards her face like this. And then I'm going to take them and do them away from her face. I'm going to take this little roller and and roll it towards her face. So these are my 3 favorite finishing products. The Amika Fluxus Touchable Hairspray, the dry shampoo, the Perk Up one, texture spray. This one is the Amika Undone Volume and Matte Texture Spray. Sometimes I use both of them. Sometimes I'll use just the texture spray or just the hairspray, kind of depending on my mood. And at this point, I kind of like to let them sit just to make sure that the rollers that got put in last have enough time to completely cool down. So what I like to do during the time is clean up my station a little bit, put some products away. And this is what it should look like from the back before you kind of break it apart with your fingers.